Hey, welcome back to the Oz Shift podcast. Today's guest is a friend of mine, genuinely a friend, but also someone that I used to work with. In fact, she was the behind the scenes mastermind of making this podcast what it is now in the last probably about 100 episodes. And then she ventured on to do something more cool with her career. And it's a blast to have her come on because she's dived deeply into the area of helping authors expand their brand, use their actual book as a marketing tool, but also create some more traction beyond that. But while that's a segment of the whole conversation, a lot of it boils down to her journey, what she went through, where she's at, because she's in a really good stage for you to learn if you're trying to create something from an idea or a dream. And we unpack those things and some of the thoughts and some ideas, also what separates some of the good from the great thought leaders and entrepreneurs in a world that she's actually worked hand in hand with. So today, as you dive in with Paige Duncan, I want you to be able to listen for areas that you can find nuggets for yourself, but also areas where you can go, hey, this sounds like something I could apply to my own life and move it forward, but also I can expand the brand of what I am. So without further ado, let's hop into the episode. Hey, welcome back to the show. You know who this is because I just told you who it is. And we're going to have some fun unpacking the heart, the head, all the experiences of this amazing human. Paige, how are you doing today?
Anthony, as we were talking in the pre-show, I'm doing great. It's just surreal sitting on this side of kind of the podcast interview with you and not being behind the scenes for you.
Yeah, right. Because that's what it was. It was that's kind of how we came to be, was the whole interaction of you creating amazingness in terms of guests and having with the flow. And honestly, I think optimizing a podcast from what it was to what it is now, which is it's kind of it's always going to be iterations. You were there for an amazing
Yeah.
season. The season's still going. I would say we do feel the missing of Paige, but now you're on to some amazing things, and it was awesome to kind of see you blossom and to see you still blossom into what you're doing. So that's what I want to bring to people today is I think there's an aspect to you is sometimes we talk to people who are incredibly successful and so far down the line that I think they sometimes disconnect from what it was like to start, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Whereas for you,
Mhm.
you're already successful, work with some of the best names in the industry, and you are still in the beginning or early stages of kind of launching out. Not that it's not your first business, as obviously you had a different thing you did before, so you've kind of branched out on your own. So she's not brand new to this; she's a veteran, but it's good to be in that space. So as we're hearing the life of what you got going on, the business of it, I want to make sure that you keep in mind my mind's to get people to understand that it's possible. You can do these things. You can create something awesome. So before we dive into all the good
Absolutely.
stuff, I'm going to stop talking. Just I talk way less when we get into it. Here's how I want to. Here's how I rock and roll. First question's always the same. Say I'm walking around Texas, where we would call it that your home area is, and I sit down in a
Yeah.
coffee shop. There's a cool lady sitting next to me. It's you. I look over and you look over at me, and for some reason you feel compelled to start talking to me. In your opinion, why should I listen to you?
I would say the first thing is I'm just genuine. When I talk to anybody and talking to you on the park bench, I'm not in it with any motive. I truly just let my curiosity lead me. So
Yeah,
whatever might be intriguing about you or I find interesting, that's what I'm going to ask and that's where I'm going to start.
I like it. That's a good place to start because obviously the people we're talking to might be useful to give information on them. And obviously there's always that aspect of, I'm thinking of a genuine conversation, but say somebody turns to you and let's say this, let's say you're overhearing a conversation. And in this conversation, somebody goes, hey, I've got this book that I just put out into the world. I really hope to impact the world with it, but I don't know how. And they're talking to somebody else and then they hang up and you start talking to them. What would your intro conversation be in that setting? I'm curious as to what you might say to that person.
Yeah, I think it's important that when you are talking about a book and you are talking, it's putting yourself out there. So I think it's letting everybody know from the very beginning that it is not unattainable. Like all of the best-selling authors that we know and people, I mean, even entrepreneurs, they didn't know anything before they started out and started to try. Like I think we jump forward and we look at some of these very like John Maxwell, such a seasoned expert and author. He started out not knowing any more than you did, than I did. And I think it's that normalization that we have all truly been in the same shoes and we were not born geniuses in our fields. Like it took time.
It's almost it's the amount of time most people aren't willing to give, but that's why most people won't actually experience the cool life in the backside. I want to go back to, we'll call it back to the start of it all, because if it's your expertise, and I do want to spend some time in the pocket of what your
Mhm.
expertise is, where did this come to be your thing? Were you, as a kid growing up, you always loved books? Was it just, you
Yeah.
ventured into, because I don't, as much as we've known each other, I don't know the underpinnings of your reality. I don't know how you became who you became. I'd love to get to know you as the human prior to the professional aspect. I know who you are now and your family. Like, it's
Yeah.
awesome. Like, I don't know Paige growing up in any way.
Well, Paige, growing up, I always have kind of had this spirit to serve, connect, and really want to try to do something on my own. I mean, when I was 6 years old, I started selling painted rocks to my neighbors.
Really?
And bless them, I do not know why they would buy painted rocks, but that was my first endeavor truly into, if you will, entrepreneurship and
Mhm.
just wanting to create a product that served other people. At the
Wow.
same time I was selling these painted rocks, I also was writing poems. It was funny enough, a couple weeks ago, I was back at my parents' place in Arkansas, and they
Mhm.
made me take all my stuff home with me. And in the stacks of all the past history are journals and poems, and just my love for writing is really where it began.
Okay.
And then, like, just writing thoughts, that's how I expressed myself as a child because I was always kind of labeled emotional, big feelings, right? Like all
Yeah.
those things many of us kind of get put on us when we were young. And that was my outlet, was writing.
Gotcha.
And through writing, that's what really made me start to love books. And so when I was probably preteen, I really got into reading and expanding my mind. It's funny, I didn't start in like a personal development space. I started with the Boxcar Children's series, which so many people probably know who are listening. But it was that outward like escapism, right? Into a different world where I could be anybody, I could do anything, I could envision anything. That's really where it all began.
I like it. And your parents were just like, let you do it. It was no problem. I mean, not that's a bad thing, but like, it was cool, like, to let it rock and roll. Because some parents are like, stop that, quit being weird, but like, they just let you do your thing.
Yeah, I think my parents accepted from a very early age that I was always going to be to a different path than everybody else in my family, that I was never going to be the traditional, what they view, right, as traditional in the family. And I found that for me, I needed to find an outlet that served me, not someone telling me to go do whether it's a sport or whether to go draw or whatever that might be, that I really had to find what my creative outlet was. And that was through writing and through books. And I don't think they ever thought it would serve me, right? They just thought it was a nice hobby, if you will. But little did they know what, like 20 plus years, more than that, later, I'd be sitting here. But for me, like I said, it also gave me a confidence that
Yeah.
I didn't have when I was young, too.
Why didn't you have the confidence?
I think I always, so I have a twin brother, and
Do
he
you? Why
technically
did I
isn't.
not know that?
I do. We're 7 minutes apart.
That's crazy.
And yeah, being twins can be interesting, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're very much compared against the other one.
Yeah.
And he was very like traditionally like book smart, like all the things on like a child check mark. I
Yeah.
was everything else. And
Okay.
so I think because I couldn't find where I would fit in and I couldn't find where I really made sense, I lacked that confidence for many years.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know how I didn't know you had a twin brother of all things. And that's
No,
cool.
I keep him stashed away.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You eat them in the womb. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
That's cool. So it lets you just, it all progress. And that's funny because when I was a kid, I used to talk a lot. And also, as a kid growing up, I was in an area where it was predominantly white, and so I didn't have much people that looked like me. So I didn't have the slang tongue where, like, they call it ebonics. So when I was in high school, I used to get made fun of all the time because I'm getting somewhere. I promise. They made fun of. They call you Oreo, right? Black on the outside, white in the middle. I used to have this thing, and then family members would be like, "Hey, Aunt, don't stress." They said, "Just be who you are. Talk how you talk. At some point, you'd be surprised at what value can come from that." It's like, oh, all right. And I just kept talking the way that I talk and the way that I speak. And if you were to see me, or sorry, if you were to just hear my voice, you wouldn't know I'm a black man typically. And it's not a good or bad thing. It's just an is thing because it's just statistically, I think you don't find many people that sound like me. That being said, I now get paid to speak. And so I go back in the day and I go, yeah, this thing I used to do, people thought was weird and it makes me make fun of. Now it's an asset. So for you, the painting rocks, the being jovial, the out, going thing, yeah, it turns into something amazing and unique and fun. So at what point did you turn this into an idea of like, I want to full fledged make this a career? Because there's obviously a lot of things I'm assuming that you've gone through. There's the high school years, the college years,
Yeah.
the so what happened in that journey that landed us to where we're at now?
You know what's funny? It was in high school that I had really found my gift for gab, if you will, and really start not only being a like that was the thing. I was very lacking in self-confidence, but I loved getting to know people, right?
Okay.
Like just passionately. And in
Yeah.
high school, I started to think about, well, what can I do with this, right? Like I didn't want to be a media like on anchor news reporter. I didn't want to go into communications that way. So
Mhm.
I entered in school kind of looking at all aspects, both my love of writing and people and connection.
Okay.
But I actually didn't major in any type of communications. I got a business degree
Mhm.
with a minor in communications and a minor in, of all things, religion because I went to a private school. So
Okay.
another tidbit for you.
There you go.
Um, and it wasn't until I left college and was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I took a totally different side opportunity that did not lead me, actually, it did lead me where I am today. But it took me years, Anthony, to come back to my purpose, like come back to my passion. Like I did everything everybody else told me to do and
Yeah.
every path I should be on
Mhm.
before I finally like stood up and said, no, I'm going to do it differently.
Was there like a specific, like, the awe shift moment? Was there a catalyst moment that all
Yeah.
took place? What was it like?
I think that awe shift moment was when we closed down. I had a business right out of college. So, out of college, my mom and I opened a cosmetic store.
Okay.
And it was kind of a boutique cosmetic store before the Sephora's and Ulta's really thrived. But it was too early in the market we were in, right? Like the buyer was not ready for that type of experience and it failed and we had to
Mm.
close.
Gotcha.
And here I am out of college, like thinking I have it all figured out and this is going to be my journey. And it was in that moment that I had to completely shift my mindset from just expectations that things will happen to a true learning mentality through any type of situation that comes my way. So instead of expecting, okay, this is going to be it forever, I had to start looking at things kind of incrementally. And I had to start looking at learning what skill sets do I need to learn to continue to develop the track that I'm on.
Mhm.
Right. So instead of just autopilot mode, which I would say we probably were on, I
Yeah.
really had to start challenge the way that I approached opportunities and situations. Also, like as the term is trending now, fail forward. But
Yeah.
that was a hard lesson to learn
Mm.
right out of
How
college.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine this one because I think that you not only do if I mean, if you're developing, because that's the age of development. Who am I? How do I fit in the world? Sometimes we'll fail and believe we're failures. Like that's what we're supposed to do. I think I journeyed through that, football wise, and in my first business.
Mhm,
But then what happens is you start to later on go, gosh, it's just I learned something. Maybe something I learned could be applied, reapplied, and I could do better. And
mhm.
what was the thing? Because most people will stop that first time. They go, I'm done with this. I tried it, and they'll be gun shy, right? They don't want to go and do that thing again.
Right.
That I feel that. So what was the thing that made you jump back in at some point? Like why? Because I know at one point you were with a company, Success Magazine, doing your thing, which I'm assuming wasn't obviously the same. Was it? How do we get to that level, right? Because one, you do this
Yep.
thing on your own, progress up. Like, how'd you get into Success Magazine? And then what point in time did you go, I'm going to try to do that thing I did when I was younger again as a crazy person and just see if it'll work this time?
Well, I have to tell you this story that answers that, Anthony, because I will never forget this pivotal moment in my life where after that closed, I decided to move to Dallas and just start new from Arkansas, right? I was a clean
No.
slate. And it was
Yeah.
sitting in a hotel room with my mom, bawling, just crying, thinking, Mom, when will I figure out my path and make something of myself? Like I
Mm.
was just crushed by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was in that conversation with my mom that I realized I just have to start over, right? I can't have a big enough ego going from I know everything, I had this business. Like I realized like I just had to clean slate start over. So I took an entry level position in Dickey's Barbecue in their marketing and PR department because I realized I had to just learn and I
Yeah.
had to just wipe that slate clean. And it took probably 5 years there and through my second employer before I really had the skill sets, the tools, the confidence needed to then jump into success and build my career through them.
That makes sense. So, I mean, it makes sense for a natural journey. How did that opportunity come to be? The,
Which
suc-
one?
the Success Magazine opportunity.
Okay, it almost didn't happen, Anthony. Okay, so it was so funny. We had just moved back from Dallas from Austin. I was consulting with Dickey's Barbecue again, but I had always wanted to do something with a media brand, right? Being in PR. And then I was like, okay, this is it. I found this really sketchy job posting, really sketchy, like not through LinkedIn. Like it was all kind of jumbled at that time. And I was like, well, I'll apply and see what happens. I go to the building, Anthony, and at that time they were building their new headquarters. So they were officed in a warehouse outside of Dallas in this town called Denton. I show up and I actually was interviewing for two jobs. So one job was for kind of their digital marketing side that they really needed somebody for, but I did not have the skill set or passion. Another was Success Magazine. But at that time, Anthony, Success was just kind of reinventing itself. Like it wasn't what it is today. And I literally, they gave me two job offers, and this is how your career can go one of two ways. And I have one woman promising me the world on this digital marketing side, but I'm like, that's not my skill set, nor do I want that to be my skill set. Then I have this kind of struggling magazine, but an amazing boss. Like I could tell his name was Jim McCabe. I could tell he was going to be like a mentor and a big force in my life. And like that's where that entrepreneurial side comes in, Anthony, because I wanted to take the leap of growing something and the leap of like building something. And so when I started, there was no PR job when I started. Like I had to craft my position
Everything.
there.
That's crazy. Did nobody
Yeah.
train you? Trained yourself, huh?
Nobody. There was no, Anthony, literally week 2 on the job, the CEO comes to me and he's like, I want you to write like this insane amount white paper, right? On success and marketing and media. I was like, wait, what? What? What am I even doing here? Like, I'm still trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
But I really got to get my hands dirty with the editor in chief and Josh Ellis, who helped run Success, and Shelby, who did digital, and all those people to build this brand that we now know as Success into it is today. And I would say, like, but I had to be okay knowing it wasn't like a big time job. I took a very entry job when I started and built it into the job that I wanted.
Wow. That's crazy. And I
It
like the
is.
idea of hearing this going, because I don't know that. I mean, most people go like, oh, you were, shoo-in, you went to college, got the degree, got the job. And you're going, no, they just went to a sketchy building and they gave me a job that I didn't know. And they told me to do something I didn't know how to do. And then all of a sudden I became great. Because you've bumped elbows with the best thought leaders in the world. Like literally, you've worked with them. You mind giving us we'll call it a non-humble list of the awesome people you have had you can't go like, oh no, but like rattle off so people
Yeah.
understand the depth of the humans you've served.
I will say one of the funnest projects I did was when Tony Robbins' Netflix documentary came out on I'm Not Your Guru. And I worked with this team, me and another girl at Success, and we did his launch in Highland Park, Dallas. And so I got to work alongside him and his team. And then Marie Forleo, I worked a lot with at Success. You know, all of your friendlies, Anthony. Brendan Burchard was really big at that time with us too.
Yeah.
And Amy Porterfield and John Maxwell. And then you think like Keith Ferrazzi and Dean Graziosi. And so, and Ed Milet at that time and Mel Robbins. And I have to say this about Mel Robbins. The cool thing, and I have such mad respect for her, because when we started working with her at Success, she was already successful, right? She had written the High Five Habit. But I got to just see her on this catalyst of growth that exploded to the Mel she is today. Now, that's not because of Success. That's because of her.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, she and her team are the most phenomenal people to work with because she literally would be like, Paige, what are you doing? Like, what can I help you with? When she would come into the office.
Yeah.
And so it's been really neat to watch so many of our friendlies, like businesses and opportunities really skyrocket. You think of, we worked with TD Jakes on the cover and did his cover shoot to celebrity people. Like, I think my favorite cover shoot was Guy Fieri when we had him on the cover because he was such a cool dude. Like, we had dinner at his house. He cooked us dinner and he just was like the most down to earth human. So you get these very surreal experiences. But again, I care about the person to person connection. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care that you have an $80 million business or an HGTV show. I care about the good humans that I get to work with.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. I mean, seriously, super cool because I think people think they're always like these esoteric, crazy, high human, but they're regular people and they do crazy things.
Yeah.
In your view, because you work with every different, different walks of life and different levels of success, what do you think separates those people? What are some of the, because we hear the mail comes in and goes, what can I help you with? And
Yep.
well, someone listening might not get that. I know what that means because most of the time people come to me and go, you are so present. You're so open to doing things. And I go, that's crazy. That means everybody else is not. So what are some of the things that you find separate those individuals from the people trying to get to their level?
I would say the first thing is they know what they're talking about. They're very honed in on their message. They're
Yeah.
very honed in on who they are trying to serve as well.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so they know distinctively what their mission is, what they're going to serve, and they know what problem they're solving for their audience too.
I like that.
And then I would also say there's a genuineness about them because we have crossed paths with so many of the people in the thought leadership space that aren't genuine, that are really looking out there just for the dollar and not for the individual.
Mhm.
And those people, while successful, do not have the same type of engagement as the ones that truly are genuine and serve, like Mel, like you, like Amy, right? Like the people who are there, like battle to battle, I'll go with you
Yeah.
and let's figure this out. And then the third thing that I saw every single time is they showed up. Their team didn't show up. I mean, their team was there with them, but they were the head of all the decisions and thinking, and they knew how to do it all. They could do any job with their team member.
Yeah. That's beautiful. This is, you guys are hearing this right now. This is the truth. Because I hang around. These are part of my friends. Like we do. And this is genuine. This is
Mhm.
there's something even to the ability to have success at a higher level. It's tied to you understanding all the different working parts of your business. Not that you do them all, but like I
Yeah.
understand. I know what my marketing team is doing. I know what my sales team is doing. I know our program managers. I know what everybody's doing. And I don't do their jobs because we would have a slow business because I can't do everything. But I have a light in the trenches. And then and it's funny is like when people need things like my team, they'll go, hey, we got a person who's a great fit for the program. They're kind of a little, they're on that edge. You mind sending a personal video, just, welcome, saying hi? But yeah, I'll do it. Right. Because most people like there's a difference there. They go, oh, crap, this guy's really open to just saying hi to me personally. And that little
Mhm.
thing, what does it take me 90 seconds? Like I could do it on my phone.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not willing to like, oh, no, they'll get to access me when they get in the program. Like, that's
Yes.
crazy. You don't got to do all that.
Yes, you
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head, Anthony, and that is what I love about you because you show up in front as you do behind, right? And people can notice that very quickly. The same is true on social. Like
Yeah.
just responding to somebody's comment, you could change their world, right? And while social, I know people have different views on it, but just taking the time to engage with your community is truly that differentiating factor.
It really is. It really, really is, folks. It's how you build something, do something cool. I mean, that's the
Mhm.
fun thing that I look at it. And I also like people, so it helps if you like human beings, right? To be in the space. So this is a service-based world, but also does all line up. Now you've taken all this wealth of information. It's kind of been, I would say codified to a level of what you're able to do and share with the world. And so I'd love to kind of dive deeper into what it is you do for folks
Mhm.
who want to be like those folks in the Success magazine covers. Like I'm looking behind, and you sent this to me, Success 125, and me in this picture that I hate, but it's cool. It says shifting. I'm like, I'm in a Success magazine, right? That was awesome. That was part of your working with me. Definitive. That's not happening if I don't know Paige. And so as we talk to this, I want people to be able to maybe understand a little bit about the depths of what you believe needs to be done if somebody wants to take, say, their book or their brand to a higher
Yeah.
level. how you do that. And then we'll talk about how they can probably reach out and talk to you. But now you've kind of dove deeper into the pools because at one point, Success Magazine, you're like, hey, I'm going to progress on. And you dove into something else. And now you're here. Do you mind sharing kind of what it is that you've ventured deeply into now, which is what you wake up and do every day? And I'd love to go kind of like ask questions around that to give some people some
Yeah.
perspective on how they can utilize your brain.
Absolutely. So third time is a charm is what I'm hoping with this business. But I think it is. And so now I have an agency, the Front Porch Collective, that specifically focuses with individuals wanting to grow their authority through media and public relations.
Yeah.
A lot of our client base are authors, but we also have a lot of talent too. That's how we came together. And so it is just having your voice stand out in a crowded marketplace. And that's where amazing storytelling, authenticity, and connections, like we really help people build genuine connections.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say it, but most of us are not experts in building those connections that you need to get to the levels of the people you aspire to be.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things that I mean, as much as I'd like to, like, I think there's certain areas because I've had my podcast for a long time and you were on obviously the other side of it. And it was crazy. I'm like, oh, I just haven't really reached out to that person. And within a couple like months, we had names of guests of people that aren't like, I'm like, how did you even find this? How did you get her on the show? And it's because of the relationships you've built. How does someone go about doing that? Because it's not that I don't know how to develop relationships. It's a different thing to establish, I think, a proper business relationship that people
Right.
realize like, I'm not doing this just to get something from you, but I do want to have a reciprocal or reciprocating relationship in some manner. What is like the magic behind that?
Where I always tell everybody to start is learning what they're writing about and what they're working on and serving them as a cheerleader. So, for example, if you really want to get into Forbes magazine and you love this guy, James, he's a writer with the magazine, you love his articles, you think he would be a fit, just start by emailing him or even on social, just saying why you're enjoying his work. What were your takeaways from his work? Like being truly just a steward of their expertise. And then, because again, it starts with this genuineness. There needs to be a trust built at first. And if you just start in by asking, like, hey, I have this great pitch for you,
Mhm.
there's no trust. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So just really start to weave that natural ecosystem by, like I said, on social. Ideally, you can take it to email. And then I would say start giving them information for free. So by that, I mean, if you saw that he did an article about the top 10 fastest growing e-commerce brands today, and you have an e-commerce brand and you've got some powerful stats on where the e-commerce industry will be by like 2028, serve those to him. Be like, hey, I saw this article. I really thought you would just find this report interesting. Do not ask for anything. And the more you go into that direction, and then you can start to put, I'd love to be a source for you anytime. Just let me know if you need help.
Mhm.
Don't do a pitch,
Yeah.
right? And that's where it has to start. So many people, Anthony, they send me, they're like, why haven't I heard back from anybody? And it's this like paragraph pitch of me.
I'm great.
And right. And it's just natural. We think it's, a one hit and done. But I've got to say, media gets on average, one journalist, 100 plus emails a day. So you're looking at minimum 500 pitches a week.
Mm.
And you're looking at maybe 3% of those people they actually have a relationship with. And those are the stories they're going to pick up.
That makes sense. It's a relationship driven business. And it is like, I think to how I get reach outs for my podcast. And
Yeah.
now there's ways you can put them together. I understand there's got to be, when you're doing it mass, sometimes you got to put together a simple structure and just hit the ground running and go. Totally understand that. But I also know that there is something to when someone's sending me a message, because I get the people send me messages, hey, I saw this, love your content. And what happens, it's kind of cool, is like if you do that enough, then I'm like, yeah, there's a law of reciprocity. My
Yeah.
head and my heart goes, I've seen this name, this image a few times, and I feel more inclined to help you. And even
Mm-hmm.
if I know that you're doing it to get something, I'm like, I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100% know you're doing it to get in my pocket. Not like, just not to like my money in my pocket, but like get in my pocket and hang out and ask me questions later. Totally cool with me because I go, at least you spent the time that nobody else is spending. And so I'm totally okay with that.
Right.
But it's some people, like I had this just recently happen. Somebody goes, hey, I love your content, this video. I was like, oh, I said, thank you so much. The very next message, hey, my company does content like this. And I'm talking
See?
video upon video of what we do. And I go, hey, and I just stopped. And then they started saying, why are you leaving me on red? And I go, because you messaged me something and then it was a pitch to something. So I'm choosing not to respond. I hope, hope you have a good, I was gracious. Hope you have a great day. I've nothing, no needs for you right now. And they go, oh, sorry, the video was to break down what we do. By the way, did you get a chance to read it? And I just blocked him. I'm like, you still didn't get the message. Like the idea that I just said that I didn't want that. And then you ask me, did I watch the video? You should have
Hmm.
said, I'm sorry, I apologies. That wasn't, say something, but I'm not going to engage with you. Now that person, they may be phenomenal at they may be the best in the world at what they do, but I'm never going to find out. I have no intention of finding out. And my guess is if you're the best in the world, you wouldn't approach it in that manner, but it will get you cut off quick.
It will. And I have to say one thing. Gone are the days that you can really mass email.
Yeah.
Now journalists and media, they're lean. There's been a ton of layoffs. We've seen media brands closing.
Yeah.
They sniff out if it is a copy paste email quicker than anything. And like you said, it could be an amazing product or pitch, but they're going to automatically delete you if they do not see any personalization in that email.
I'd agree. It makes sense. And because that's the thing is there's no personal touch. We don't do it. Like I teach, we're not doing marketing to PR by any means, but we are marketing to individuals, like to
Yeah.
bureaus and to agents. Like I'm, it's kind of we have a team or like a team, one person that's systematically sending things out that comes back to the rest of our team. But even in that, I'm like, you got to go do a little, give me 5 minutes per person you're sending a message to, put something in that's a little personalized. So they know it's not just a mass message. Because again, if I open to this day, if I open an email, and let's say my name or something, I'm reading the first maybe 3 sentences. If there's not something in there that feels like it's unique, I'm not getting to the rest of it. And I get a lot of emails too. And again, it could be great information, but if there's not something that feels like anything about me, we're not doing it.
It is so true. And I'm so glad you said that with the first 3 sentences because I talk to our clients the time about this. I call it the power of the first 15 words. You
Oh,
literally have 15 words to capture somebody's attention, right? And so that is why it's so important in that first sentence or two. You need to just be as authentic and straight to the point. Like if you can boil your pitch down into 15 words or 2 sentences, that's where the hook's going to happen. So I'm so glad you said that you have that same reaction when you do get an email in deciding whether you're going to engage with it or not.
yeah. And that's the real people. I wish it was any different, but it's not any different. And you're right. It gets tighter and tighter. But then it forces you to refine your skill set, right? Because that's the
It
thing. And
does.
then if you can refine the skill set, you get onto more platforms, you can get things out. And then if let's say we move past the podcast conversation, let's say you're on more podcasts doing your thing. Now we get to the point of going, God, I got a really good refined message. I got a book.
Mhm.
I know you do more beyond the book, right? So part of it's not
Mhm.
just the book that comes out. I want to dive in a little deeper, as you can't tell, is to go into like, what do I do with the book? Because I believe, and
Mhm.
I think you mentioned it before we got on the recording, was it's one of your best marketing tools if done properly. How do you think people are failing with good books?
I think the number one thing is, and this has happened with best-selling authors that I've worked with, is they think that the book is going to sell itself. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm talking about people in the A game of their industry thinking and do not have a plan for it. So just like Anthony, you're planning a product launch, right? Or you're going to launch a new business,
Yeah.
whatever. People are not building that marketing and media plan on how to sell their book. And the kicker of that is they're not building it in enough time in advance. Now, if you're launching a book, you need to have that plan 6 to 9 months out, starting to execute, not building it, executing it.
Hmm.
If you already have a book out and you're like, my sales are flat, they're not going anywhere, I've got 5 Amazon reviews, what do I do? Build out a 12-month marketing and media strategy as you would for your company, your products, your personal brand. You literally take that same skill set and you apply it to your book. Because I always say, like, a book without a plan is simply a nice decoration. It's going to live on that bookshelf, it's
Yeah.
going to live on a coffee table. And I think people think just because it's on Amazon or maybe you're a published author, the publishing house is not there to make your book sell like hotcakes. They're going to assist, but it's your job as an author to sell this book. And
Hmm.
as you talk about, Anthony, there's multiple ways that a book can open up and be your best marketing tool, from leading to speaking opportunities because it builds that credibility and authority in you that you wouldn't have otherwise. It is your
Yeah.
best business card out there, is this book of knowledge that only you can teach.
Yeah.
And also, like, a book should be content for years to come. Like, if you're struggling with a content plan, literally go into the themes of a book and what you wrote about, and that should last you for years. And so many times people are like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. What are my socials going to be?
Mhm.
It's living within the front page and the back page right there.
If you do it properly, I agree. I
If
agree.
you do it properly. And then the third element where I think so many people miss, take your book and turn it into a digital course. So I just worked with this amazing author. She's a Squarespace expert, launched a book.
Mhm.
She's kind of doing that's the 101 version. She's launching a 201 version in a digital course. So they're complementary assets to each other, but
Mhm.
is a wonderful additional revenue stream. And so many people just write a book and then let it just sit as a book.
It's crazy. I mean, I get it. You know, what's crazy is I'm sitting here going, I wonder if I did. I know I've done part of that with my identity shift book for sure. Like, and I think maybe it's because I've gotten to this realm of going dark work's the next thing, and dark work
Yeah.
with Anthony Trucks, and so it's kind of given me a little bit of a pause. And I've been on the back burner with my publisher to relaunch and remarket it. But I think there's something to that because I do spend some time kind of thinking like, what's the best way to get it out? Because it's a great book. At one point, I was like,
It is
I
a
don't
great
know.
book.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if it's being any good. And then people give me such great feedback. I go, oh, I didn't realize it was a great book. Like it sounds very weird to say that, but at one point I'm like, as I wrote it, I realized how much didn't go in. So I go, it's a great book, but I don't know if it's the book. For some people, it is the book. It's crazy. All that I go, there is a truth to what you're saying and I just did this recently. I found out. So you can actually go to platform. Just one. What is this? It's called Claude. CLAUD.ai or CLAUD.e. But what happens if you go to this Claude? I'm gonna make sure it's the right one. Yeah, it's Claude with CLAUDE.ai. You should check this out. Holy crap! So what you can do is you can upload the PDF of your book and you can ask it questions about your book. You can go, if you upload the PDF of your book and you go, hey, I need you to create, I don't know, 1,000 topic points for content for me, please. It'll do that. And you can take a segment of that and you can pop it over like Chat GPT and go, I need you to take the main segments here and create me a video script. And I did this recently, a video script with a detailed breakdown of how to write like a video of this. You can take that over to something that's called InVideo.ai. Golly, listen to this page. This is crazy.
Anthony, you're blowing my mind here.
That's what it'll do. It'll create a whole breakdown of what the video should be, topic content. You put in this thing called InVideo, AI.invideo.io. And what it'll do is it'll actually spit out a video that is completely stock images, but it creates the script and everything, puts a voice. And I had someone come to my house recently, they broke this all down for me. It's how I learned all this, like on Monday of this week. And then what you can do is I do video all the time. You can load a bunch of video that you've recorded into a platform called 11 Labs. 11 Labs will clone your voice. And then what you do is you copy the script from the in video and you put it in 11 Labs and it will have your voice reading the entire script. You then tell the in video, remove the voice from this video, and then you export that. You go to iMovie, you put the video and your voice in, and it's you literally detailing the voiceover of a new video. It's got transitions, it's a beautiful video, and you didn't speak a word of it, and it all came from your book.
Oh, guys, this is gold. Like, save this portion of the podcast because this is genius.
Right. And it's not my idea. I had someone come into the house. It's not like a proprietary process. They're wizard. They've been going through the AI stuff and they broke this. I'm like, shoot. So because for me, I want to make a lot of content. So I can now train my VA team to do everything I just told you.
So smart.
They can make content with my voice without me ever knowing it's being made, and it's on the internet. And it all can come from whatever you want. So we made it for dark work from the brand guidelines. It's a 73-page document.
Yeah.
It's a book, we call it. But you can make it from the book. And I go, gosh, I can do the same thing for my book. It's 80, I think it's like 60,000 words, 50,000 words. Like there's a ton in there that I could extract to make amazing content, even if it was just the video in a different voice. It'll give you a different voice. But you're right. All the content you need is right there inside the book if you want to.
It is. And I love that, Anthony. I love, love, love. First of all, you got to text me all these names because I'm salivating at, new processes we can do.
Yeah.
But I love that you brought up AI because this is a thing that gets so much either praise or flack. But AI for authors in book marketing and media is your best friend. It is the one that's going to help you cut time. If you don't know how to write a pitch, now ChatGPT's pitches are a little long, but like you can get templates from AI to help get you started if you do not know where to begin. And so I love that you brought up AI because whether you're an author promoting your brand, promoting a product, it is an amazing tool, just not a replacement. But to your point, there's so many platforms out there that can help assist you in extrapolating content to make
Yeah,
it last on for a long time.
I like it. I like it. And then ideas like even for a course, you could actually go into the book and say,
Right.
create a 6 phase course outline of what would be the major points for me to make, to teach on, and it'll do it. That's the
Mm,
great. It'll
that's
actually, it's so nuts. So yeah, I would utilize these because I think we look at AI of like it's going to replace me.
right.
No, I mean it's a tool that you get to use. But the reality is we're far away from the point where they don't need a human being to do this anymore because it's telling it what to do. But yeah, there's a lot you can do to leverage what you've already created in ways that I didn't even realize I could do. And so it's definitely a
Hmm.
piece. So why? I guess for me, why? I don't know if it's the right word. Well, yeah. Why is it that you really believe people should spend more time in expanding out beyond the book? Because one thing to go, you're leaving on the table, right? Literally, right? Leave it on the table. Totally
Literally.
thing to go, this needs to be into a course or a process. Why is that such a necessary step for people?
Because it's also money left on the table. You can take your book and turn it into a six-figure business. There is a woman that we have worked with. She's taken her book and she has turned it into a community and coaching program that are now like that's a six-figure revenue stream for her. It also is what's going to build your authority. So if you're looking like say Gabby Bernstein is your like where you want to be, right? What she has done with her book that has been her proof point. Like she is the expert in what she speaks about and she writes multiple books about it. So one book should be your starting point, but as you want to grow your authority you need to think of ways to continue to develop more work and more books around it to be able to have that backing when you're building trust, right? Because it comes back to the trust that book is the quickest way it's going to build you trust on these bigger platforms like TV shows, podcasts, etc. But I must say like it also needs to be very well executed. So don't just hammer out books because we're talking about books. It needs to be a thought process. And for some people that can take 6 months self-publishing. For others, it may take 3 years. So
Yeah.
don't like any product launch, don't rush that process of getting a book out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's good. I mean, it's good information. I hope people listen to this information because one of the things most people don't do, they just go, "Oh, it's good," and then act on it, right? Then listen and act on it. What is a thing like that you are excited about for the future of your business, right? Because we're talking about these things, you guide people through these things.
Mhm.
What are you excited about with the business next stages?
With my next stages, I think I'm most excited about I am working on launching a community of bringing people together. Like we've been talking about how to market and get media for your book, but I know many people listening are probably like, I have no idea how to do that. And
Yeah.
I love this quote that every person is not a writer, but every writer is what I think something along the lines of like every person's not a writer, but every person is a marketer or something like that. Because we're all without even realize it, we're marketing ourselves and our
Yeah.
skills and all of that. And so I'm launching a community that literally teaches people how to be an expert in media and marketing for their book and growing their author authority. And
Gotcha.
so you know me, Anthony, I love people, I love connections. And so
Yeah.
it's this 12-month mastermind community. It doesn't go necessarily chronologically. It's for anybody wanting to write a book, thinking about it, or you want to expand your influence. But it is a much more cost effective way that I
Yeah.
wanted to build out for people to have access to knowledge because, PR agencies are very expensive
Yeah. It ain't cheap. Yeah.
and they are not cheap. So I wanted to be able to create some type of product that wasn't a course, that had interaction and training elements, that brought this community of sharing and
Yeah.
supporting together.
I dig it.
So that's where I can't wait to just like meet more people and bring more for that one-on-one human effect.
Yep. That makes complete sense. I like the idea. And I think if you guys are interested in something like that, you got to go find her. So where would I send people to come find you, Paige?
I probably the best place is my website, thefrontporchcollective.co. There
Mm,
is no M on that, so don't try to put an M. You won't find me.
yeah,
And actually, if you go to /resources, I have free templates from a book marketing plan to chat GPT prompts if you're stuck on writing and need assistance to free PR training. So it'll get you started no matter where you are in your journey.
I love it. I love it. All right. Last question. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Here we go. What promise did God make to the world when he created you?
I think his promise was that there would be nobody that felt like they didn't belong, that I am here to make sure that everybody feels that their voice is valuable and that they do have a friend in this crazy world of sometimes not fitting in.
I like it. It's a good one, Paige. It's a good one because I think a lot.
Thanks, AT.
Yeah, I think some people have that same kindred feel. I know for sure I had that growing up. It's like I'm just the oddball, right? So it's necessary and it's needed. And I thank you for the work you're doing.
Thanks, Anthony. This has been so much
Yeah,
fun.
right. Time flies. You're having fun. We're already at 45 minutes. Crazy out. It seriously just flies out, which is a beautiful thing. You guys who are hanging out, thank you for being here with us. If you guys get a chance, go to the frontporchcollective.co. And if you know someone who needs to hear this episode for whatever reason, just click the share button, copy the link, send it over to them. You never know how one conversation can change somebody's life. And that's the goal for what we just did today here. If you guys get a chance, make sure to go visit Paige and see the things that she does and keep an eye out for her community coming out because I'm telling you, she's dope. Outside of that, as always, make the most of your awe shift moments. You can make shift happen. It's Anthony Trucks and Paige Dungan signing off. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Awe Shift podcast. I pray that we gave something amazing to your life. And if you found this episode served you in some way, I would love if you could share it with people you know, people you love, as well as your community, because you never know who needs that simple little seed that can grow into something amazing for their life. And the actual training doesn't stop here. If you want your free copy of the show notes sent to you after every episode so you can get the major points consolidated down, simply go to textanthony.com and message the word notes. Till next time, make shift happen.